You're saying somebody even called the Browns and said, don't do that.
Yeah, somebody called the Browns and said.
So what was the objective? He doesn't get picked? He's an undrafted free agent?
That's exactly what's going to happen. They were going to have him, he was not going to get drafted, to basically show you this is what happens when you do this.
Be advised, my OnlyFans is now 20% off.
Weirdos are going to come after y'all.
Oh, no. Mm-mm. I don't know who told you that.
In my opinion, the news that just dropped should have blown up the NFL. Legendary Hall of Fame Eric Dickerson claimed he got a tip from one of his very reliable sources inside the league that teams were told not to draft this rookie quarterback. Why? To make an example out of him. Suddenly, the narrative around not letting him in the door exploded, not because of his talent, but because he dared to walk his own path.
But I heard from someone that's in the NFL that the NFL told other, don't draft him, do not draft him. We're gonna make an example out of him. And this came from a very good source, And he said that, I won't say who, somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that. Draft
Really?
him. Yep, draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't going to draft him either. They weren't going to draft him. They were forced into drafting him because somebody made a call to them, said, you know, and I say, when I say this is a NFL side source for sure, you know, so this is not here. So look, one thing about it is, and I'll just say it, you know, they don't like when guys have brands, especially black players. You know, and that's mostly us with the brand. You know, some guys are flashy and all that kind of stuff. They don't like that. This kid, Fred, I don't think you knew this. He had already made $17 million from a car deal that he already signed. A car deal. He had $17 million already for that. Then he had another 14, I think, from a was it a shoe, Nike or some shoe deal. So he was good with money-wise, but I know he wants to play in the National Football League for sure.
So how does he do that? I mean, Cleveland picked him. I find it fascinating, Eric. You're saying somebody even called the Browns and said, don't do that.
Yeah, somebody called the Browns and said.
So what was the objective? He doesn't get picked? He's an undrafted free agent?
That's exactly what's going to happen. They were going to have him, he was not going to get drafted, to basically show you this is what happens when you do this. I mean, look, you know, Fred, the NFL got all kind of power. They do all kind of stuff. You know, you know that, and I know it too. But no, they were not going to draft him. And like I said, when I said it came from a good source, it came from a very, very good source. They said they weren't going to draft him. I like it because when I saw it when he went to the second one, I said, oh, I said it out loud. They're not going to draft him. They're going to make an example out of him. I knew it.
So
the guy that they drafted, the quarterback they drafted ahead of him, he wasn't as good as Shedeur. He even said it. I mean, how do you draft a guy that you know that's not better than the guy that you drafted after? That don't even make sense.
Do you think Shedeur knew they wanted to make an example out of him?
I don't think he realized to the extent that the NFL would go to make an example out of him. No, I don't think he knew that. I don't think his dad knew the extent that they would go to make an example.
Let's be real. This young man was projected as a first-round pick for months. Analysts had him at the top of the draft board. Then, like a switch flipped, he fell all the way to the 5th round, pick 144 by Cleveland. Dickerson said the Browns didn't even want to make the pick, but someone in the league literally made a call, don't draft him. And then, at the last second, they got cold feet and grabbed him anyway. In my opinion, this is exactly the kind of shady power play the NFL is notorious for. It's not talent evaluation. It's not football reasons. It's politics. It's control. It's mob rule. And yes, I believe this happened because he comes from a black, wealthy family with enough clout and presence to make people uncomfortable. It's no coincidence that Stephen A. Smith compared this whole situation to Colin Kaepernick. That's not exaggeration. It reeks of the same fear. A minority athlete with influence daring to exist outside the NFL's approved script. Draft insiders like Mel Kiper once had this quarterback listed as one of the best at his position, but the league machine spun things differently. The whispers became narratives, not NFL ready. Too flashy, bad interviews. Those excuses all lined up just in time for his free fall down the board. Meanwhile, Journalists like Albert Breer dismissed the conspiracy, pointing instead to draft math and the idea that not everyone can go in the first round. But that explanation doesn't account for Dickerson's claim that there was an active effort to freeze him out. That's not a scouting miss, that's a collusion plan. Why this matters. Here's what it tells me. In my opinion, the NFL was willing to manipulate a draft class just to teach a kid a lesson. They were ready to risk credibility and fairness, not because of talent. Nobody questions that, but because he represents something they can't control. And that should scare fans everywhere, because if they'll do this to one of the most gifted quarterbacks to come out of college in years, what else are they willing to do? So what happens now? Here's where the suspense really kicks in. The final preseason game is this Saturday, and after that, decisions have to be made. Does Cleveland keep him on the roster? Do they slide him down the depth chart? Or do they actually consider cutting him? Imagine that, going from first-round projections to a possible roster cut before week 1. If that happens, it'll prove every word of Dickerson's claim. The uncertainty is brutal. Fans are already buzzing. Every snap in that preseason finale will be scrutinized, every throw and decision dissected, because when Sunday rolls around, the Browns will have to show their hand. In my opinion, this is bigger than one quarterback. It's about a league willing to toy with futures to maintain its grip on the narrative. It's about punishing confidence. It's about reminding players that they don't own their own story. The NFL thinks it does. But here's the truth. This quarterback was already a star before draft night. He was already a household name before the phone rang. No collusion plan can erase that. And now, with one more preseason game to play, the entire football world is waiting to see if the Browns actually do the unthinkable, because if they do, the league just might have to answer for something it never wanted to admit in the first place.
I'm coming. I already made reservations. That's the believer. Are you the believer or the believer? I know who I am. You gotta find out who you are. I'm coming.